Good evening, everyone. My name is Harold Famiel Fatimu from SMA Negeri 1 Banjarnegara, and today I'm participating in NSDC in 2026. And today I stand for the opposition team. And first of all, I would like to tell the motion of today's debate. So, the motion is: in area of persistently low academic achievement, this House believes that countries should prioritize reforming the curriculum over build-up educational facilities. Well, this motion discusses what governments should prioritize in regions where students continuously perform poorly in education over a long period of time. So, first of all, before entering to the argument, I would like to define today's motion. So, the definition of today's motion is: areas of persistently low academic achievement means the regions or communities where educational outcomes remain poor, such as low literacy and numeracy rates, and then poor examination results, weak learning quality, or limited academic competitiveness. And these are often happen in rural areas or underdeveloped areas or economically poor area, such as the eastern side of Indonesia, like Papua, and then Sulawesi, Nusa Tenggara, and many others. While reforming the curriculum means changing or improving the materials taught, the teaching methods, the learning standards, the assessment systems, and the overall educational framework. And then building up educational facilities means improving the physical and operational educational infrastructure, such as the classrooms, libraries, internet access, computers, laboratories, transportation access, and other learning resources. And as the opposition team, I believe that while curriculum reform remains important, the educational facilities should be prioritized first because they are the foundational conditions necessary for meaningful learning. Well, from this motion, we can get a question, and the question is: in areas with persistently low academic achievement, what should government prioritize first? And our answer is: the educational facilities must come first because they are the foundation that allows learning to happen at all. Well, first of all, the government fundamentally misdiagnoses the problem. So before entering the arguments, I would like to rebut claims that made by the proposition team. Well, the government has fundamentally misdiagnosed the problem from the motion. So throughout their speech, the Prime Minister reduced low academic achievement into performance in national competitions such as debate and Olympiads. But the motion talks about a broader educational context, a broader educational achievement that affecting millions of students over the countries, not just a small group of people who are competing in national competition, because the achievement in education is not just about how much someone can get winning a competition, but it's also about the numeracy and literacy rate, and then the score that got by the students from doing their assessment, and many others. So most students in underperforming areas or in rural areas are not struggling because they cannot win the debate competitions, but they are struggle with basic literacy, numeracy, reading comprehension, struggling to access to books, to internet connections, and even consistent school attendance. They are struggling with that. So the government has narrowed the debate too much. They focus on a tiny group of people who are competing in national competition and ignoring the structural educational crisis faced by many students in rural areas. The second, government has claims that curriculum is more fundamental than facilities, but this it's very unlogical. Let's be real, that if curriculum don't have the facilities, it only exists on a paper because they cannot implement it. They don't have the facilities to implement it. So if they don't have the proper teaching tools, how can we teach the curriculum if we don't have the facilities? You cannot teach digital literacy without electricity. You cannot improve science education without laboratory. And you cannot expect students to focus in a crowded classrooms. Well, educational reform without infrastructure is simply like a theory without an execution. The third, government heavily relies on training, implementation, clubs, and then deployment of talents and coaching. But all of these things required infrastructure. The teachers need transportation to access, the students need spaces to study, the schools need internet and technological support, and then the training programs require operational facilities. So even the government own the reformed curriculum, it cannot function without educational infrastructure first. And now let's move to our arguments. So our first argument is that facilities improve educational for all students, not just a small group of people that are competing in a competition. Well, the government side has mainly focuses on students who is joining the debates, competition, the Olympiads, or the national contest, but educational facilities affect every single students every day. For example, like a repaired classroom can benefit everyone. They can study comfortably, they can study quietly, and then access to books has also benefits everyone. They can access everything from the books easily, and then stable internet connection is also beneficial for everyone. They can access the international journal from Google, from web. Then the functional sanitation will also benefit everyone, and then libraries and laboratories benefit everyone. The libraries, they can get many things from the libraries, and then they can improve their skills by laboratory skills and many others, while many schools in Indonesia still don't have this kind of facility. So, if we truly care about persistently low academic achievement, we must prioritize policies that create the biggest or bigger impact to education, especially in our country. Well, our second argument is that educational achievement begins from access. Before students can compete nationally, they first need the ability to learn consistently, to learn the materials, to prepare for the competition. So, in many underdeveloped regions, students face long travel distances. They have to spend many times to go to their school. For example, like going through a river, going through a bad road, and many others. And then poor schools conditions, and then lack of teachers and insufficient learning resources. They don't have the books in their libraries, and they don't even have libraries to got their resources of study. So these barriers directly reduced the concentration, the attendance of students, and educational performance. The students will cannot maximize their potential when the environment itself prevents effective learning, because overall facilities is not a luxury things. They are a prerequisite things that must be provided to continue the education in every region. And our third argument is about inequality. Prioritizing curriculum reforms means will create a risk of widening the gap between developed and underdeveloped regions. Why does this happen? It's because the good urban schools already have the infrastructure that is necessary to adapt quickly to curriculum reforms. They have the trained teachers, they have stable internet connection and supporting technology. Meanwhile, the disadvantaged or schools that lack of those capacities, they cannot adapt to the curriculum because they don't have the facilities to adapt. As a result, the curriculum reform will give a good benefit for students who has already privileged, while the struggling regions continue falling behind. So, by prioritizing the facilities first, the government will create more equal starting conditions for all students before introducing the more ambitious or more good curriculum. So, ladies and gentlemen, the core issue in low achieving areas is not just about what students are taught, but whether meaningful learning can happen or not. So, as a conclusion, the government should prioritize the infrastructure building over curriculum reforms in rural or underdeveloped areas. If the government prioritizes educational content, we prioritize the educational access. And then, if the government focuses on excellence for a few people that are competing in national competition, we focus on opportunity for everyone. We focus on equality for everyone. Because without functioning schools, without safe and peaceful classrooms, without proper learning resources and proper infrastructure, even the best curriculum in the world cannot succeed because they don't have the place to implement. They don't have a platform to implement it to the students. So for those reasons, I strongly believe that the government, the house, should prioritize the infrastructure building instead of prioritizing the curriculum reforms in rural areas.